So it's been a few days since Nintendo's E3 Direct, and having had a few days to sit back and reflect and watching it back this morning, I just sort of wanted to give my thoughts on it and explain why Nintendo did not win E3 and did not save E3, but instead just added to more of the lackluster performances from other companies. So first off, it started with the Smash reveal, which I'm not gonna. I mean, the character's not for me, not at all. But I won't take character bias into relevance here. It's a Tekken character; it deserves to be in. But character aside, starting with a Smash reveal, that's always a good way to start a direct. I sort of mark directs, and there's like three main things I think you need in it to make it a good direct. One of them is a Smash reveal, which they tick off nice and early. Another one is some smaller games coming out, or returning series, something like that, which again they did. And the last one is that you need some form of big game announcement. The last direct we had Splatoon 3 announced. This direct we had nothing. Not a single big title was announced at E3. And I know you're probably thinking, but there was a new Metroid game and a new WarioWare game. Those aren't big IPs anymore. I'm sorry, they're not. The big IPs are Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Kirby and Splatoon. Metroid is not a big IP for Nintendo anymore. That's why it's been so long since the last game we got. But we'll get to that when we get to the Metroid Dread announcement in the Direct. So again, the start with a Smash reveal, good start, moving on. Next up we had headliners, which we got Life is Strange Remastered Collection, which who cares. Square Enix Guardians of the Galaxy game, which we saw literally a day or two ago. And then we had Worms Rumble, which is not even one of the old school Worms games, so I don't see why I should care. Astria Ascending, which again, not exactly the best games to show off at the start, could be better. 2 Point Campus, just 10 minutes in and we haven't had a single good game announced yet. That's slightly worrying. And next up we had Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, which, that's cool. Monkey Ball's a good series, but my issue lies with the fact that we already knew it was coming to the Switch and we already had it announced. But it's a new game on the Switch, and Super Monkey Ball was fun back in the day, so this is the type of thing you'd expect to be announced at a Direct. A new installment in a series that people like. So that's cool. And then next up we had Mario Party Superstars. I thought this was DLC for Super Mario Party, because I didn't know why they'd make a new Mario Party when there's a perfectly good one on the Switch. Especially since it took them 2 years to add online to that game. I thought, they're finally getting around to new content. But no, this is just an actual brand new Mario Party, which I'm not going to complain, it looks good. Mario Party's always fun. It could have been DLC, but maybe it just wasn't financially beneficial to do it as DLC, I don't know. But that'll be fun. This is probably the most excited I am for any of the games listed here, honestly. Which is pretty sad from E3 Direct, but oh well. Then we got Metroid Dread, which back to 2D Metroid. This is cool. There was a lot of talk about a Metroid 2D game for a long time, so it's good to finally see it and see it in the flesh. It looked interesting. I wouldn't say it looked like the most fantastic game Nintendo ever put out, but it didn't look bad by any means. So this will be nice to play, and there's also an amiibo coming out of it, which will fit very nicely in my collection of amiibos. So this was probably the biggest reveal I think they had, is the new Metroid game. But they didn't announce anything on Prime 4 other than the fact that it's still in development, which was a slight disappointment. We've been waiting on that game for so long, and they said they've just put out a different Metroid game before they even got gameplay footage, so I'm expecting big things from Metroid Prime 4 now, and if that game doesn't deliver, it's going to be one of the biggest disappointments Nintendo's ever had. And then we had Just Dance. Who cares? No one plays Just Dance anymore. Cruise and Blast, which again, who cares? Dragon Ball Z, I mean this game's on Game Pass, I don't know why you'd spend 50 quid to play it on Switch on a worse console. But there's new DLC with it, if you'd care for that. I know I don't. And then we've got Mario Golf Super Rush Overview, which again, we've had this shown off so many times on their Twitter and in the past Direct. I mean, I get they're trying to sell games before they come out, but did you really need like 2 minutes on it? Anyways, whatever. There was announcements of there's going to be DLC and stuff with a Metro Kingdom stage, which I think is really cool because I like the fact they're introducing Odyssey into more things, because Odyssey sort of seemed a bit... hasn't quite got the backing of Galaxy and stuff, I don't think, yet, in terms of references. I know it's just come out, obviously, but good to see they haven't forgotten about it, which is one of my concerns at the minute, because I was expecting Odyssey 2 at this Direct, or something of that calibre, since this is E3, and there just wasn't anything, so that was disappointing. But again, I'll recap all that at the end. And then we had Monster Hunter Stories 2, which they've tweeted about 27 billion times the morning of the Direct. Just in case you'd forgotten about it, they decided to put another trailer in the Direct. Very kind of them, for all the people with amnesia. And then we had WarioWare. This trailer was actually class. It was really funny and it looks really good. Good to see WarioWare coming back too. Very, very fun franchise to play if my video ever decides to load it. There we go. There's Wario in his biker outfit. This was quite a cool announcement, seeing Wario back with a new game. It is nice to see they revived 2 franchises in one Direct. I will give them credit for that. That was very cool on Nintendo's part. And then next up we had the SMT5 trailer, which we already knew was coming, and we already sort of know the gist of Shin Megami Tensei games. This was like the longest game trailer we had during the Direct, I think, as well. I think it's just slightly bigger than the Metroid one. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but we already knew we were getting it and what it was going to be like. It did seem like a bit of a waste of time to me. And then next up we had, oh, let me try and say this right, Danganronpa. A Danganronpa collection coming to Switch, which it's not my thing, but that's kind of cool, I guess. I'm surprised we didn't see Doki Doki Literature Club in this Direct, actually thinking back on it now. Happy we didn't know, because I don't need more visual novels and stuff advertised. Then we had Fatal Frame, which just looked like a Fatal Frame game. I can't really say much more than that. We had Doom Eternal and Tony Hawk next up. This is when people started to realise this Direct was really falling apart, and there's been nothing, you know, like a 10 out of 10 announcement yet. But people thinking, oh, there'll be something at the end, not to worry, but boy were they wrong. Then we had Strange Brigade, which never heard of that in my life, never planned to play it in my life. Then we had Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which we saw at Ubisoft literally 2 days before, 3 days, I can't remember. But again, we just didn't need to see it again so soon after they just announced it. I think that was a wasted slot of the Direct. Then we had Advance Wars coming back. That's, for Advance War fans, I imagine that's very cool. I personally have no interest or love for the series, so I didn't really care for it much. And then we got to the Zelda section, which was quite possibly the most disappointing section I've ever seen in a Nintendo Direct. This was absolutely awful. So we started with Age of Calamity DLC, which we saw at the last Direct, because I don't know why they're shoving it down my throat again. Then we had Skyward Sword. I get they're trying to sell Skyward Sword, so I'll give it a pass for that. Don't really need to worry about that too much. And then we had the Zelda Game & Watch system, which, who cares, to be quite blunt. I think you can play Zelda 1, Zelda 2 and Link's Awakening, which you can play all of them on the Switch, by the way, so I don't know why you'd go and buy that. But the most concerning part about this Zelda section was the fact that this is genuinely all we're getting for Zelda's 35th. A Skyward Sword port, or a slight remake, a Game & Watch console, and amiibos and Joy-Cons. That's it. That's all we're getting for Nintendo's third biggest franchise's 35th anniversary, and that's all we're getting. That's a disgrace. I'm sorry, that is an absolute disgrace. And I'm not seeing anybody pick that up. Like, that is awful, and people are just not noticing what they've just said about it. Could you imagine if for Mario's 35th we got a Game & Watch console and a Mario 64 remake, as opposed to the All-Star Collection, the 3D World and Bowser's Fury, the Game & Watch and loads of other merchandise? Zelda got shafted so hard by Nintendo, and I wish people would call them out on it more, because Zelda deserves so much better than what they've got in store. I just don't get why they've neglected it so much. You don't even have to do anything special. Like, you could at least port Wind Waker from the Wii U, because that'll happen at some point anyway. You might as well do it now. Anyways, enough of my rant about no Zelda content for 35th anniversary. Next up, we got the Breath of the Wild trailer, Breath of the Wild 2 trailer I should say. Which, yeah, it's cool, a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of story, blah blah blah. But it said it was really scheduled to release in 2022. Which to me means it's not going to be ready for 2022 and it's actually going to come out in 2023. And I say that because we didn't get a season period, we didn't get spring, summer, etc. It just said 2022, which to me means they have no concrete plans for a release date. And they've just said 2022 to give people optimism and to get pre-orders in. Which, I respect the hustle, but I wish people would notice it more, because people were just getting excited for Breath of the Wild 2 next year, and I'm just sort of sat there like, no, just calm it down, wait until there's a solid release date before you get excited, because my first thought when I saw 2022 was it's being delayed 2023, because they didn't really sell it as 2022 that much. They just said, oh, we're aiming for 2022, which doesn't fill me with confidence whatsoever. But this was the last thing they showed off, which is where I get to my big point as to why this direct was so disappointing. There wasn't a new installment in a big game. There wasn't a new Mario, there wasn't a new Kirby. You know, there wasn't a remake of an old classic people genuinely love. There was just no big announcement to really, you know, remember. And it just, for E3, it just disappoints me, because Nintendo at E3 normally smash it. You know, they've announced Odyssey at 2017, they had the Smash reveal at 2018, 2019 they had Breath of the Wild 2, and 2021 we have a new 2D Metroid, I guess. It's just, it wasn't inherently a bad direct. Like, if this was like a the mid-autumn direct they normally have, I wouldn't care too much, but because it's E3, you'd expect something really, really memorable from the direct, and it just wasn't for me. And I know some people love this direct, and they're saying it saved E3 and it's the best direct ever. I genuinely cannot even see where they're coming from. I think they're just Nintendo fans who are trying to hide disappointment by acting really positive, in my honest opinion. Because I was watching in a Discord and we had about 9 people, and legit, not a single one of us said that direct was good. People were giving it a C-, I give it a 4 out of 10. If I'm being generous, looking back now, I'd bump it up to a 5 out of 10, but I wouldn't go above that, not at all. And I just think for the E3 direct you expect so much more. And maybe that's our fault for having expectations that are a bit too high. But at the same time, I'd argue E3 is like Christmas for video game companies. This is where they announce the big stuff they have planned, and this is where they really, really make people excited for the upcoming projects they have. Xbox delivered on that really well. They had a lot of games, a lot of content revealed. And then you have Nintendo, which just announced a lot of mid stuff, really. You know, when the highlight of the direct for you is a Mario Party game when there's already one on the Switch, that should raise alarm bells. So in conclusion, I basically think Nintendo, whilst it wasn't a bad direct, it was probably the most disappointing direct I've ever watched. there was just nothing to really grasp me, and it just sort of, it was one of those directs where you're watching the time go down and it's getting closer to the end and you're like, oh, this direct's running out of time to save itself here, and it just didn't this time. I just wish they had something there. And I get a lot of people will be happy with what they've shown off, and I get Metroid and WarioWare coming back are very exciting. But my problem lies with the fact that people just aren't accepting the fact it wasn't very good. Especially with the Zelda news that there's no other content planned for the 30th anniversary. The fact people are letting that slide to me is crazy. I genuinely don't know why people are so okay with that. That's awful from Nintendo, and I'm the biggest Nintendo fan you'll ever meet. I simp for that company so goddamn hard, but I'm not afraid to call them out when they do something bad, and I think no Zelda content deserves to be called out. But that's enough of my ranting. I just basically wanted to say why I didn't like this direct, and maybe give a different opinion to the people who said E3 Nintendo Direct was the best one there and the best direct they've ever had. I just don't agree with it, but that's the beauty of opinions. Everyone's allowed to have their own, and when people have different opinions they can have debates, and debates are lovely. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap that up there. I think I've ranted enough about this direct, so yeah, I mean, I hope you saw my points and thought they were somewhat valid. If not, I totally understand. I know I'm a bit of an opinionated person, but yeah, that was just my views on the direct, and I wanted to get them out there so people can see what I thought and compare them to their own thoughts, basically. I was gonna record the direct, but in the end I didn't, because I streamed it to people instead and watched with them, and it was just because I had to put the stream sound up really high for people, you just couldn't hear anyone talking. So I decided not to record that, which is probably good as well, because my language during the Smash reveal was not very good. When a certain somebody was killed, I was not a happy bunny watching that, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, I'm going to wrap that up now. That was just my thoughts on the direct. Let me know if you agree, disagree with any parts I've said. And yeah, I do want to try and make some more content coming up, so if you have any ideas of what I can do, please don't feel shy to let me know, because I want to make more stuff, but I just don't have the energy to come up with ideas sometimes. I also plan to maybe do a trial stream one day soon, because I think streaming would be really fun. So keep an eye peeled for that. Follow my Twitter as well, because I want to stat pad followers basically. And also subscribe to my channel, because I want to hit 100k by tomorrow, and if I don't get there I'm gonna cause problems on purpose. Yeah, I'm not good at outros, can you tell? Anyways, I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is, and hopefully I'll be a bit more in a better mood next time than this time.